Is The Elder Scrolls Online worth playing? Well, I've written a dramatic musical narrative here that if you were not convinced to play ESO beforehand, give this a listen. Have you ever been outside and you've seen the universe revolving and said, "This is not the life for me"? Well, let me tell you that this game is because you didn't want life, this is what you're gonna want to do. This is, okay, stop it, stop the music. I'm done, it messed up. Elder Scrolls Online. Just hearing the name of that game can invoke a billion different feelings depending on the person. For some, it's
that utter piece of trash is garbage cause Joe said so in 2014.
Or something like,
Elder Scrolls Online delayed the development of the Elder Scrolls 6, therefore I will never play it.
Regardless of any potential response that one may have, today we're here to talk about one thing. Is The Elder Scrolls Online worth playing? Well, the thing about ESO is that it is one of the few games I know that did, indeed, have an absolutely brutal launch and completely ripped to shreds by the MMO, Elder Scrolls, and RPG fan bases, but they didn't give up. And because they didn't just give up, ESO has turned into not only one of the most addictive game experiences I've ever played, but also one that plays into the nostalgia factor in gaming. Now, this isn't just another video on should you play specifically in the year 2019, but rather, is it just worth playing? Now, what actually makes a game worth playing? I mean, for some it's endgame content to challenge them, or a compelling storyline, or just lots and lots of content. ESO is somewhat unique in that regard. When I first started playing ESO, I had never before played an MMO, just RPGs such as Oblivion and Skyrim. I heard about ESO's terrible reception and decided,
hey, I'm not good at reading red flags, let's spend lots of money on a poorly reviewed game.
And so that's exactly what I did, therefore entering an adventure that I would never forget. Elder Scrolls Online is truly one of the most well-maintained, properly worked on games that I've ever played. I've met the devs of this game, and it's not just a job to them. It's an utter passion. I mean, when you talk to them, their excitement for player experiences, their drive and absolute dedication to this game is one that I have not seen from any other game company. They know what their players want and then deliver absolutely mind-blowing content that never ceases to impress. I feel like there's always something that they've got planned, some event, DLC, things that keep the world lively outside the realm of the regular base game. To me, this alone makes the game attractive and far more enjoyable. But the real question is, will you find it enjoyable? Can you even break into this game at the 5-year point in time, or will you be too heavily tidal-waved by elitist Eugene?
You're telling me that you just started playing yesterday and you aren't max level and everything, done every trial, became Emperor of Cyrodiil, and you haven't achieved all of the achievements? Wow, what a pathetic casual, LOL.
Well, it's not to say that these Eugenes don't exist, but I personally believe that ESO is one of the MMOs out there that you can join at any time and just engage with it how you want to play. I mean, the game isn't even always about endgame stuff. You've got so much actual genuine side quests, tons of collectibles, locales to explore, content that comes as you level up. It can all seem so overwhelming and confusing at first, but the more you focus on how you want to play, the more the game just opens up to options. You can join this game today for the first time, never played an MMO in your life, and enjoy it and not feel stressed or pressure. But just because you can join it today and not be attacked by endgame uber nerds doesn't answer the main question. Moving on, does this game have decent questing and how much is there to do? Now, I have dedicated a ton of my time, mostly when I was streaming at www.twitch.tv/Kevduit, to complete every single quest in every zone, just to see how much there is to do. This does not include dungeons or trials, just the main region quests. This could take anywhere from 50 if you rush it to 500 hours just to complete every little side quest in the regions. There is a lot out there. You can practically play this game like Skyrim and be totally content with never dealing with anything else or anyone else. On top of the ludicrous amounts of questing, there are dungeons, trials, and arenas that add a more challenging and cooperative experience for those wanting to grind for gear sets or just completion. And even these have an easy mode for newer players breaking into the scene, or a veteran mode for those who want to have their tar beaten out of them. At this point, there are 36 dungeons in the game, 8 trials including the new Sunspire, and 3 arenas, one of them being a totally solo insanity run of madness and chaos, forcing you to spill buckets of tears crying over one mechanic that is clearly broken, until you complete it and everything is rainbows and sunshine. For quick info, dungeons are 4-player group runs and trials are 12-player group runs. Now, some of those dungeons leave a lot to be desired, specifically the non-DLC base game dungeons. Some of them feel quite copy and paste, or rather dull, but for the most part, they're still very fun to play through, especially when you have quests to complete them. And on that note, daily repeatable quests. There are way too many of these, which is not such a bad thing. For dungeons, for major cities, for crafting, PvP, the list goes on and on. It's actually kind of nice knowing that there's always something to grind for, always something more to do or obtain, and dailies still give valuable enough resources to complete them, surprisingly. Now, I said a word back there. PvP. Alright, Kevduit, what could those letters possibly stand for? Practice vegetable personification? Parents vaccinate, please? Close, but no. It stands for player versus player, the experience that leads you straight into the most chaotic adventure of your life. The PvP in ESO is actually pretty fun because of the way they designed it, especially in massive groups in the open world castle siege. It requires factions to play together to really dominate, to get stuff done. Most of the time, there will be one-on-one fights with incredibly unfair odds because of how classes work, but for the most part, each class can play very specifically and according to their wannabe playstyle. ESO has both massive open world Cyrodiil, which is castle sieging and dominated map locations to win the faction war, as well as Battlegrounds, which is a 4v4v4 arena fight with several different game modes. PvP offers a lot of great victory prizes and reasons to engage, so much that most people live in Cyrodiil. They never even bother with PvE unless they need the gear. My problem definitely comes with the server lag and FPS drops. I mean, if you don't run lower graphic settings, even on the beefiest of machines, the game can really dip in performance. Moving on! Are there any professions? I know it's popular for MMOs to have very specific professions to excel in, and I feel like this is where ESO falls a little short. Not in the case that it sucks, just that there's not a whole lot of class-based specific professions, kinda like they have in Warcraft. Crafting is the one thing that you can dedicate an entire character to. Learning all of the different traits, getting motifs to craft in different styles, etc. ESO has an absolutely fantastic system and there is a lot to do with it. But there's nothing like dwarves can mine ore or something. And the only thing that might be considered a race-given trait is the passive that orcs have in Inspiration Gain. Besides that, any class and any race, they all do the exact same profession equally. Alright, let's talk about the one thing that ESO heavily revolves around: the combat. ESO has a very complicated but very well done combat system. And no, it does not play like Skyrim at all. There's a lot that needs to be focused on when fighting. Things like wall dodging out of the way, blocking, countering, gap closing, purging. There's a lot more to this than one might think. My only complaint with this is how long it can take to get to that point. Combat at the beginning of the game is quite lackluster. It leaves a lot to be desired, and getting to a point with really action-packed rotations feels like it can take a while. Exploration is the next thing I want to pinpoint, as that is what every Elder Scrolls fan's heart craves after. Well, you will not be disappointed with ESO's open world. Elder Scrolls Online features many massive regions, each with its own style of terrain, vegetation, scenery, and landmass. There are some larger regions as well as smaller ones, but each brings a lot to how the game pans out as a whole, whether that be hotspots for guild traders, dueling, material farming, gear grinding, level grinding. There's so much crammed into these areas, and even when you think that you're in the middle of nowhere, more than likely someone else is there with you.
Hi, Kevduit.
If open world exploration is your guilty pleasure, you're gonna have a good time. I suppose classes and races should probably be addressed. How in-depth are they to play in your adventure? Well, I'd say quite a bit. Not a single class feels even relatively close to another. They all have their own specific 3 skill trees, incredibly unique abilities, passives, and playstyles, some doing better with magic, other with stamina. Typically, there are certain races that are far better for specific classes, but ESO really leaves it up to the player to decide, and most of the time, almost anything can work. Elder Scrolls Online also features a ton of guilds to join, quest lines to partake in, skill trees to level, an extensive champion point system, exploration, a smorgasbord of cosmetics that make you automatically a better player. The game just feels full. I don't know how else to put it. There's so much to grind for, literal thousands of hours of content that just continues to expand with every DLC and chapter they release. There is a consistent amount of events, XP bonuses, crazy balance changes, just a lot of focus to continuously engage players, both new and endgame. But the final part I want to talk about here is not the endgame, because it's not the destination. The destination is waiting for you, but it's not going anywhere. It disappoints me when I see new players immediately looking up grind from level 1 to 50 in 2 hours, just because they'll never get to experience this game in its true form. Elder Scrolls Online, as much as an MMO as it is, also has one of the best journeys you'll ever find in a game. Oftentimes people ask me, if you could go back and replay ESO for the first time again, would ya? And the simple answer is no. Because this game has created so much nostalgia, so many good memories and experiences, I don't want to trade that in. If you're a new player heading into this game for the first time, enjoy it. Grinding and power leveling just ruins the memories that you could create with a game as good as this one. It's got its flaws, and you'll definitely get frustrated with it time to time, but the experience you can create is unforgettable. It's a gem in the rough for sure, and it's had its fill of bad changes and a bad beginning, but I'm telling you right now, this game is not at all what it was at the beginning. And if that's what was holding you back, it's probably high time you gave it a second chance. Anywho, it's been a while since I've made a video talking about this game, and I hope it clears up whether or not you want to take the plunge.
But always remember that if you want to have the ultimate Elder Scrolls Online experience, all you need to do is to